Okay, good evening, late afternoon, evening to everyone. Hello to our panelists and a special hello to our attendees. Thank you so much for your dedication and taking time to share with us some thoughts this evening and some needs. And hello to as well to our interim superintendent, Mr. Corey Wise. Tonight is a pretty short agenda, however, an important agenda. We really do want to ensure that we're hearing your input this evening around your needs in the realm of remote teaching, working, and learning. Anything that you want us to know, any needs that you want us to consider, and just any other feedback and information as we head in this direction in a short period of time. Hello also to our board directors that are in attendance as well. Thank you for taking that time out to be a part of this important leadership group. So as always, we want to provide that space and place for our superintendent to share of any updates among any other leadership updates from people of his choice as well. So Mr. Wise, I want to make sure that you are here. I think I saw you in there. Yep.
I'm back. I'm up to panelists now, so I'm back and unmuted.
Thank you. We're going to turn it over.
Beware. So Amanda, when I was moving from on to panelists, I didn't hear your. Are you ready for me?
Absolutely ready for you, and you're welcome to have anyone else speak that you may want to as well. The floor is yours. Please share of any important updates.
Yeah, so obviously we all know the biggest update right now, moving to remote after Thanksgiving, our increasing numbers, the impact it has on our system. I guess I wouldn't mind just hearing from you what questions you have, what you'd like us to know more, what the temperature gauge is, what your feel. That way we have a better perspective. So I guess I'd like to just open up to listen a little bit more, and then I can possibly answer, if you don't mind doing a question answer to begin with.
Sure. Let me get my facilitation. Let me get my mouse ready to unmute people. So employee council attendees. So as you know, Mr. Wise, we have representation from each of our employee groups. So we have district level, department representation. We have principal, teacher, classified staff, and so forth from our major employee groups. So this is a time where we greatly encourage every employee group, regardless of your role, to share. What are your thoughts and needs, concerns, any kind of supports needed in terms of remote work, teaching, and learning? So as Mr. Wise said, we're going to open this up to the group, and this is that question and answer time. And what a great opportunity. You have our interim superintendents undivided attention right now. So we encourage you to ask, just raise that hand and we'll happily call upon you so that you can share your perspective. I'm going to use that wait time. I'm sure there are thoughts, questions. Colleen, thank you so much. Good evening, Colleen. How are you?
I'm good. It's sure good to see you, and it's good to join Employee Council. I am going to share out 3 different pieces of communication that I got from my staff. We had a quick staff meeting this afternoon, and I just opened it up to hear from them. So I'm sharing out 3 different pieces that I collected from our staff. Number 1, we are in need of document cameras for teachers who are going remote. That just seems to be a theme I hear over and over and over again. And we're getting some nuggets and some bits and some pieces here and there, but I'm going to put a plug in for teachers to get remote document cameras for at home. I got another message from somebody who thinks we should just be shutting the district down now. And I'm just sharing, please don't shoot the messenger. I'm just passing along the message. So some teachers were just venting and saying they felt like things have gotten to a point where it just needs to be called at this point. And then third, I want to share a message I got from a special ed teacher in our building who was slightly concerned about why the individual decision was made for some special ed kids and teachers to be able to work during the Thanksgiving to end of first semester time block. And she was just sharing that she was concerned she was having to put the safety of her students over their education or education over safety. And she felt like that was a really difficult decision for her to make. And then also concerned for her own safety. So again, those are just 3 comments that I took from my staff, and I will mute myself now.
Thank you so much for your thoughts. Thank you. Thank you. And for the
So document cameras, I saw Amanda take a note also. We'll bring that back as, how we start to build out and work with your principal and our district IT and Kate Kataska, CFO, to see what we can do on that. Shutting the district down now. I'll be honest with you, there's probably feedback I get every day wanting and asking those same questions to keeping us open as a full district to keeping individual schools open longer. There's not a perfect answer. I think as I work through this process and try to listen, engage, we have been trying to keep schools open for as long as possible. We have rolled out a number of schools to be remote. In the past and up till now, I mean, we continue even today where we've had to roll out a few schools to remote. So I think on that end, as your school, there's some schools that want to stay in, to be quite honest with you, even after Thanksgiving. So the decision to go remote after Thanksgiving, there's some that don't want that. So one thing that I have learned in this role and other roles is sometimes what I think everybody wants, it's eye-opening who wants what. And I think that's true for an individual building, let alone different buildings. So there's not a perfect answer. We and I did decide that we're going to move to remote after Thanksgiving as a system. I think part of that is a number of reasons. How we start to have balance to give us a bit of time to prepare. We need to hire more people in specialty groups as much as possible. I talked about the school nurses being a specialty group. We have our special ops disinfecting team at night. That's 5 people. So when we think about the people who are disinfecting the entire district, it's only 5 people. 2 quit, we hired another one, so it's 4 people. We need to get more because just the hours that we're asking people to spend to work all night long and on weekends, we're going to be, in my opinion, you're going to have people coming and going, and we need to build better balance on that end also. So I think a little bit of that, as we looked at when we shut down, is moving to orange and looking at targeted quarantine at the secondary level allowed us a little bit of a reprieve from quarantining the entire classroom. So at the elementary level, because you're with your same kids all day, we have to quarantine the entire class. And as you know, that's tough when we're in hybrid, because then you have part of the class maybe at school and the other class not. At the secondary level, now that we're orange again, to do that and maintain not only as our district, but you look at all the neighboring districts, it's just tough. Every district, as I've met with, Littleton, Cherry Creek, Jeffco, and then I'm a part of a Denver metro area, it's called DASC, of school superintendents. Everybody's in a little bit different spot of what that looks like. But being a large district, and it was eye-opening as we met with elementary principals, the number of schools that really have had none or very few positive COVID cases, one or very few even quarantines, and others that are tipping points. So I think in all of that, I just want you to know, Kalina, you're spot on and it's hard. And literally we'd have a few principals like, no, we're good. And then within a day or 2 or a week, be at that tipping point because the number of cases and people being quarantined and out. And I'd say that's probably true for multiple departments. You look at transportation, who gets quarantined, and others, and how we continue routes. So even when I speak a lot about schools, I think that's true as we're looking at the impact across the system. So, we are, this is me personally saying this, we're going out fighting as hard as we can. We don't want to be in this spot. I don't know if there's a perfect timing, but I've always believed when we do it at breaks, we can. And if we can't, then we go out earlier. But we're also helping to look at each individual school and roll them out as needed. So the last thing question is special education. Special education is a topic for our district and also multiple districts. Students who have the hardest ability to access or cannot, how do we try to help? And I think in that end, that's where we're working on plans for our own district, let alone partnering and sharing ideas with neighboring districts. I had a conversation today with Littleton and Cherry Creek and Jeffco just to share ideas about what we're doing now. We're also not only planning for now, when I say now, it's now until winter break, but it's also what if we have to stay remote after winter break. We're planning to come back January 4th with teachers and January 5th with kids, but we're also gonna have to continue to monitor. So we need to build plans for now, and then also be ready to continue those, improve those, tweak those to be ready for anything. So, you know, when you look at safety's, it's hard for me to give you an exact answer on that because we're always gonna work for the best and be safe for our kids and teachers. Even those teachers that want to teach in our schools, we believe there's a level of safety. But anytime we go out in the public and do different things, there are risks. But how do we, you know, with kids and that need it and want it, and there's a lot of staff and teachers that want that also. We have schools that want 4 days a week within special, you know, groups and providing that, and others that aren't comfortable with any. So I think it's a very complicated answer, and there's not one perfect answer. It's trying to listen to all of it, trying to set good plans, trying to support teachers, staff, and kids in an ever-changing environment. So I know that's probably not, you know, I'm trying to answer it as detailed and openly as possible, but I'll tell you what, the variables and the complexities, trying to take in all the input and make good decisions, also try to make systemic decisions on top of looking out for the uniqueness of each school and feeder and areas. We're complex. It makes us great, but it makes it interesting at times too. So Colleen, does that answer it a little bit?
Mr. Wise, I really appreciate your transparency. I 100% understand that there are multiple factors going on here, and I appreciate you being available to listen to those comments. So I wish you and all of the leadership team the absolute best, and continuing moving forward, I wish nothing but the absolute best for Douglas County, and I know you have that best interest in our heart. So I appreciate your transparency that there are no great answers.
And Colleen, I appreciate you jumping off and asking the first question. To all of you, if you disagree with the decision we're making and it's on me, it's okay to say it. I'm hearing it from multiple places, the agreement and also the not agreeing. It's okay. It's good for me to hear. If I don't hear all the perspectives, how do I help make better decisions? And I'm going to be honest. There's going to be times where we make a decision, think it's the right one, and have to say, ooh, that maybe wasn't the best decision. But we're trying to keep those at smaller level of mistakes rather than higher level of mistakes. So it's okay. You're not going to offend me if you jump on and say, I disagree with that. So if you don't feel comfortable, I get it, but please know you're welcome. You're more than welcome to do that. I need to hear all the different perspectives. That helps me. It helps me.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Yes. So we have Amy.
So, I mean, I guess along those same lines, I just wanted you to hear, because I know, you know, at the district level, I mean, we get some of it, but obviously at the district level, you know, there's a lot of noise in terms of, you know, all sides have an opinion. But what I heard loud and clear from our staff is how much they appreciate the words that you said at the board meeting and the board as well. I think they really feel like the district has their best interest at heart. And of course, there's little things. I mean, SPED definitely is an issue that's come up. There's some concerns and we have to work through that. But I just want you to hear, because I know mostly probably what you hear is negative, but I do think, at least in our building, the staff overwhelmingly appreciates that their needs were taken into consideration. And it's again, it's super hard. And like you said, there are individual teachers and, you know, individual schools that maybe feel like it's not the best decision, but at least even the ones who maybe didn't want to go remote felt like, okay, well, in the end, they're thinking about us and our safety and our health. So I just wanted you to hear that from the people that I have talked to on our staff.
Yeah, and Amy, I appreciate that. I think, you know, a few things I want to echo. I said it before, but no one wants to be in this spot. We don't want to move to remote. I mean, COVID is impacting us in ways that we never would have imagined. So no one wants to be in this spot. I will say the board is super supportive and wanting to do what's right. Defining what's right and working through the details and the complexity of everything. It's hard by all of us. We all have ideas, all of us. All of you have ideas. I have personal ideas. I mean, so everybody comes up with ideas to try to help or make it better. How we do that and sometimes I have an idea and I know some ideas are better than others. So even on that side, we're going to make mistakes. We're going to learn and grow, but we're going to get better because of this. And I will say, even some of the schools that thought, okay, we're good, they've had a shift and all of a sudden like, oh, Corey, we're at the tipping point again. And it's going to happen. We all know, everyone's been pretty real and saying, we know it's timely. It's a roller coaster. The impact's going to hit us at some point. It's just a matter of timing of when that is. And we have a few other schools that had it said, we got hit about a month ago and now we're in a better spot now. So it's an interesting dynamic in all this. And I will tell you, to all of you, I'm sure you're exhausted in many ways. I had a question. I was on a group earlier with community members and businesses, and they asked how teachers and staff were doing. I said, well, you know, it's a hard year. We're learning a new level of resilience. We're learning a new level of digging deep and figuring out and working through frustration and finding the positive. If we don't slow down and find the positive, we're going to wear ourselves out even more. So I appreciate the questions and then also the positive comments. And I would ask, you know, I really ask all of you just to find those positives that are happening and accentuate the positive, find solutions and give us ideas of what we can do better in the hard times or the negative. But the more we can accentuate the positive and start to find solutions, the better off, because, you know, I know everyone's working extra hard. I don't doubt that every single employee hasn't had to step up and do more. So it's known, and I hope you understand that we value that and appreciate that. And I don't want to speak for the board, but I think I can speak for the board in piece. I would say it echoed by each and every one of them and collectively. You know, I can't tell you how much all of them and all of us are working our best. And I know all of you at the same time. So it's just, we all have different roles, and how we can put empathy in those things and listen and understand a little bit better, I think will help.
Thank you. Mr. Wise, we just got some information on the side from one of our employee council members who for some reason is having technological issues, so we'll ask for them if you don't mind. The questions are, there's two. What we're doing to hire on more subs. I'm happy to answer that one. And then around sharing specific health information and like positive test results with staff members. So Mr. Wise, I know we have, you're here, also Nancy Ingalls is here, so I'll let you answer that piece, and then I'm happy to talk about the sub piece.
So Nancy, I'm gonna ask you to jump in because you can do it better, but you know, the sharing the health information is how we do that. We're working every day with our own contact tracing along with Tri-County to work through the data. And I'm gonna say this, every school district is struggling with accurate data, amount of data, communicating data. It's overwhelming. So on that end, even when you look at like our numbers and then you go up to Adams, Arapahoe County, Tri-County's had to shift resources also. So how we continue to get and know our positives and be exact on that side, it's tough. And then how we also try to, and we're doing our best to find ways to communicate that out to schools and employee groups coming into schools, even O&M and different groups that come in that have to support and fix things in schools. We're a large system with a lot of people moving around, so the mobility side of it, but we're brainstorming ideas. So I probably didn't give a great answer. Nancy, you could probably do better than that. So I'll defer to someone smarter than I am with that.
Hi, everybody. I'm so happy to have the opportunity to be here with you tonight. And this person, maybe Amanda, if they can give a little more specifics about the sharing of health information question. We do our very best to try not to share information about the person who was positive, whether it's a student or a staff member, to the extent possible. Sometimes, though, there are certain people that need to know, and the purpose of that is for that contact tracing. So generally it begins with the principal and the school nurse, and they will begin the contact tracing process. And if there are times they need to ask some questions about potential close contacts, that might help people to know, who it is that they're talking about. But, outside of that, we don't share any information about who it is that tests positive, again, whether it's a staff member or a student. And the only time that we would be for contact tracing to make sure that we have properly identified all of those close contacts.
Thank you. I think you addressed it. It was more around policy and process, so thank you. In terms of subs, a couple different things. One, we have over 500 subs in our system. What we're seeing now, and one, this is not uncommon across the metro area, our subs are starting to, one, get quarantined themselves. Two, they also could be vulnerable, have vulnerable family members as well. And so, and know that our subs have the choice of when to work, where to work, what days, what schools, what locations. And so just know that that's the special nuance as we look at a pretty wide sub pool. Of course, we are always hiring subs, and we have various processes in place to expedite the hiring of subs. Right now, we are working with CDE in terms of a partnership of allowing one-year authorization. So those are individuals with less than a bachelor's degree who are good and have a passion to work with kids, and we will be helping vet that. To be able to sub in our system through the end of the school year. So that is typically the State Department does not allow for that, but given the unique circumstances every school district is facing right now, they have allowed for that and have worked with all of the HR departments across the metro area in our school districts to try and come up with some solutions, and this is one of them. So we do have a handful of subs in the hiring process right now. We're continuing to move forward. In case this question comes up too, we are working with our wonderful professional development team under the leadership of Erica Mason right now to ensure that we're equipping our subs with some skills and tools if subs are needed in that remote realm as well. So we want to give our subs as many tools and as much preparation as possible to be successful to positively impact kids and support our employees.
And to double in on that, in my conversation with Creek, Littleton, Jeffco, everyone's struggling to find subs. That when you start to see the numbers going up at the same time and then the same stressors in multiple districts, we're not alone in this. And it's hard to understand the domino effect at times, but people say, where's the pre-planning to get more subs? There's a lot of pre-planning that isn't always seen, trying to recruit and hire. We've had a lot, actually, in sending out the last communications, we've had several people reach out to try to start their process to get licensed to substitute. So I appreciate that. So anybody you can recruit, ask. The more substitutes and different employees that we can get, again, when I said nurses, so it's a small world. So the more I ask, and maybe somebody can reach out. Amanda and her team have done a great job that we're doing whatever we can to hire especially in those need areas. So, but we're not alone in that side. And even with other districts rolling out, we're having a tough time filling our spots, as are other districts that are still limping with us.
Yeah, thank you. And part of the difficulty also is the timing. So it does take time to contact trace, and some of that is done well into the evening just because of either the number of situations and or just it's a lengthy process. And then that timing for our subsystem to then notify subs if there's a position. So, and as schools go remote, we shift those subs over or offer them the opportunity to shift them into a different vacancy. And they have the choice to take that or decline. But we will continue our diligence in trying to find subs and create that depth of pool and diversity of pool. So thank you. What other questions, topics, needs? We welcome our district departments to speak as well. We know that we have various department representation, various employee groups, and also we continue to welcome our school staff as well. What's on your mind? What would you like Mr. Wise and district administrators to hear? I know there's a thought out there, waiting for that hand to go up so we can unmute you. There we go. Vera, thank you. How are you, Vera?
I'm good. Thank you so much. So I teach at Highlands Ranch High School, and I'm a mild moderate case manager and science strategies teacher. And we've noticed that our D and F list among our population and the population of the general education students has increased vastly. And I'm wondering if there's a plan to help students after the fact, when we get back to normal. I don't know, like I spoke with a math teacher, and the amount of students that are failing or barely passing math. I have a son who just turned 16 yesterday, and I'm, as a parent, worried, is he getting the education he needs to do well on the ACT, the SAT, in his next math class that he's taking next year or the year after? So I'm just wondering, is there a plan to help with the education that's being lost with this situation that we're in?
Yeah. So you asked a couple good questions. I might pose an answer a little bit differently to say my hope in talking with high school principals and others would be, what are we doing before we get to finalized grades? So at the high school level with transcripts and semester grades, this has been a topic for a while, since really kind of going into fall break in that first quarter. I know there's been surveys. I know there's been work with PLC. I know there's been work with teachers and students. So my hope would be that that transfers over for grades and the opportunity to improve those grades going into semester. Now, grading as a whole, when you start talking about the purpose of grading, is on learning and those essential things. So I like your question of SAT, ACT prep on top of essential learning to be prepared for the next level. So I would answer it a couple of ways. My first question is, we start looking at the curriculum map, is if we are really using math and preparing purposely and intentionally for some of those tests, because that's only one outcome on top of others. But I think that's work that we have probably started at times over my 25 years and at times I've had to pause, changed, and coming back to. The other part I'd say is, as we get to the next level, that preparation, I do think there's always times where we can go back and determine what's essential and help kids on readiness. There are a number of schools and organizations that can test prep, and we can, in my opinion, you can have an impact on ACT or SAT score with preparation. The more times you take and the more preparation you have, you can increase that. So there's ideas and plans around that. But I would probably want to jump into each school and each level and ask a little more about, I know there's been surveys, I know there's been PLC, where are we now? Progress reports and pulling up those lists are ongoing, so you can really progress monitor as you go, and that's been an ask. And so I guess to be proactive would be my first hope and strategy, and then after the fact about what we do then, I think is ongoing work.
All right, thank you.
Any other employee council member feedback, needs? You all have a voice. Anything else you want us to be aware of? Are there any other needs outside of this? Any other trends? Anything else you want us to be aware of? If not this topic, then others? Just giving you that time. Okay, Mr. Wise, I hear nothing more at this point, but employee council, as always, you know where to reach all of us. If something does come your way, or if a theme of something from the system comes your way, Mr. Wise, I'll let you share any last thoughts, anything else you want our group to know before we close out this week and head into the Thanksgiving holiday week.
You know, reflecting on some of the questions, I guess, you know, you create great questions and next steps for me as I write them down of what we can do. So each of you within your abilities, if I can ask you to work back and see where we are and then give Amanda and myself feedback. I think the more, you know, I kind of call it a temperature gauge or a pulse, but the more accuracy and feedback and pulse and temperature gauge that we can have as a system, so there's not as many gaps and lag in time and lag in distance. You know, keep giving me the feedback. I think reaching out to me, you can call me, you can text me, you can email me, or through this group. I know there's different resources, but to each of you, as you have those questions, you know, those are kind of some of my ideas. So I think as we go back, I'm going to check in again. We've been checking in, but I'm going to check in on some specifics of some things with not only devices, possibly document cameras and others, but also the grades piece, and try to work back with all of it. And you hit a great topic on what do our students need. So we've been working on those things also and trying to create some good plans and working with schools and families on those. So do know that I heard y'all. Even those times where we're still defining and working with you, we'll try to work back and progress check and see what we can do to help and support and step up. And most importantly, going into Thanksgiving, we're going to finish strong. Take some time. You know, when you're working so hard, take some time to slow down, enjoy your families. You know, I would ask you this, as we go into remote learning, it's hard for everybody in different ways. Sometimes it's hard for adults to go into a change because we haven't ever done it before. It's hard for students because it's a change, and it's hard for families on that balance. So I guess what I'd ask of everybody is to, you know, I've said it with empathy, but put ourselves in other shoes, even those that are probably most different from us, to think about what each person's going through, what each family, what each staff member and others, to see what we can do. So I guess I'd ask to reflect back, and you know, that's how we're going to get through it together. So as we go through those 3 weeks and we have that transition, what are we doing well? Who is struggling? What can we do differently? Not just what they can do differently, but what we can do differently. There's a lot of times where we feel like it's out of our control, but we can control a lot more. So you know, that's what I'd ask you, a perspective, and ask of all some perspective. And then lastly, you know, Thanksgiving is to appreciate what we do have. And I just want to say thank you. Thanks to each of you that makes Douglas County the school district we are. And for each of you, you know, working through your own family pieces, whether it be your own kids in school or whatever else that we have going on. You know, it's a balancing act this year. So I just want to say thanks, and please pass that forward. You know, it's a good sized group tonight, but it's also a small group in comparison of our entire district. So please pass that along.
Thank you, Mr. Wise. And I would be remiss if I didn't say, please don't forget to share out with your colleagues the importance of our EAP program. The Employee Assistance Program offers so much support. I know that we're headed into that time of year where, you know, people may need some additional needs, or that stress level builds up, and know that there's counseling services, financial supports, mindfulness activities, employee discounts, all kinds of great resources there that we're so thankful our wellness department, in partnership with Ms. Ingles' department, keeps that updated. So please continue to encourage people to utilize that free resource. Also, yes, as you are busy caring for others in your service profession, as we are all programmed to do, please pause and breathe and take time to care for yourself. And as always, as Mr. Wise shared, you know where to find us. You have, you know, my cell phone number, and you've got other ways to reach the both of us and pretty much the majority of our district leaders. Please reach out if we can support in any way, as we do appreciate your leadership, and we wish you a wonderful rest of the week and a great holiday as well. And our next meeting is set for December 7th. If you have any particular topics that you would like us to discuss, please email myself or Shauna, and we can be sure to add that to the agenda. Thank you to all of our attendees. Thank you to our board members who are listening in. Thank you to the district leaders who took time out of their evening to attend, and that just shows the great value to you, Employee Council. Thank you and have a great evening.